So you're putting content out online, you've tried to be consistent, you've followed every trend imaginable, but for some reason your videos still sit at 150 to 300 views on a good day, and you're starting to wonder if something's wrong. Maybe you think you need to pay for a blue tick, you think the algorithm hates you think you're being punished for being a small creator, but the real truth is way more simple than that. Your videos aren't failing because of the algorithm, your videos are failing because you don't understand how video retention works. And I say this as someone who's produced more than 1,000 videos this year for brokers, generated tens of millions of views, and work with top clients including MPA top 100 brokers and multi-billion-dollar brokerages. So today, I'm going to break down exactly why your content's flatlining, how retention actually works, how platforms decide who wins, and how to structure your videos so that people actually want to watch them. By the end of the video, you'll have a complete blueprint to stop getting ignored online as a mortgage broker, and you'll have a full understanding of how growing on social media actually works. So the first thing you need to understand is that every single social media platform wants you to win. They don't just want you to get 10,000 views, they want you to get 100,000, a million, maybe even a billion views. The reality is that your content just isn't retaining people for long enough or getting enough engagement for the algorithm to push it out further. Think about YouTube, for instance. YouTube quite literally splits the money it makes with you. So every single view on your video, you make money and they make money. So it's in their best interest for your video to reach a massive amount of people. Same goes with Instagram and TikTok. Your experience on those platforms is dictated by the level of content that you get served. So if you're getting rubbish videos on TikTok, you're gonna leave and go to Instagram, meaning that TikTok can't show you any more ads until you're back on their platform. So their number one goal is to serve you the most addictive content that keeps you on the app for as long as possible. And vice versa for Instagram. If you go on there and get served a bunch of junk, you're just gonna leave and go somewhere else, meaning they can't make any money off you at all. And just to put this into perspective, Instagram makes roughly 14 cents off you per day. So around $51 a year. So they want as many people on their app as possible. Meaning again, if your content's junk, they won't risk pushing it out to too many people because they want them on their app as long as possible. So the first belief we need to deconstruct is that it's not an external thing, it's an internal thing. If your videos aren't performing, it's gonna come down to the quality of those videos and how well they're retaining people on the app, and also how they're engaging with your content and sharing it around. And this doesn't mean you need to completely overhaul everything or revolutionize who you are or how you make content. You just need to get a basic understanding of how most social media algorithms work. So to put it in the most simplistic way, imagine an inverted pyramid. At the very bottom, the smallest point, a very small amount of people are gonna be shown your video. And normally this is about 200 people, which is why the term 200 view jail exists. Because Instagram shows your video to 200 people, and then based on their reactions, it's going to push it out further to the next level of people. So if those initial 200 viewers just scrolled straight past the content and didn't engage, then as if Instagram or TikTok would risk putting it in front of more people, because clearly it isn't something consumers want to watch. And on the other hand, if those 200 people watched the majority of your video, engaged with it, shared it around, then of course it's going to get pushed out further because it's obviously something people want to see. So if that first piece of the inverted pyramid looks good, it goes to the next bit, which is now a slightly colder audience of a few thousand people. So if these people have the same positive reaction to the content that the initial 200 did, then of course it will get pushed to the next level, which is around 10,000. And then if they enjoy it, it starts to get pushed out like crazy. So you'll start to see some viral traction. Now, just to clarify, you have your 200 view test, then you have your expanded audience test of a few thousand people, which again is why some people get tracked at 2,000 views because their content is engaging, but it's just not enough to get pushed to that next level. Then we have your viral test, which is where your video starts to serve to complete randoms to see how they'll react. And then if they react well, the video will start to fly and get a crazy amount of views, which just enters the viral video section. That's how viral happens. It's not random, it's not luck, it's not secret hashtags. It comes down to two questions. Question one, can you get my attention in the first 2 seconds? And question two, can you keep my attention longer than the average creator? That's it. If you understand that, you understand how 90% of the algorithm works. So now the real question is, how do we actually master getting attention with strong hooks, number one, and then keeping retention with proper video structure and quality content, which is question number two. So we'll start with the hook first and speak about getting attention. Your hook is the first 2 to 5 seconds of your video, and it's the single most important part of your content. But if the hook can't make them stop scrolling to watch the video, then it doesn't matter how good the video is because they'll never see it anyways. So there's a few different types of hooks that we can use. First, we have the pattern interrupt hooks. So these are just bold statements that make someone stop because you're breaking a common belief that they might have. For example, most people think negative gearing is some massive tax hack. Here's what it actually saves you and why it's nowhere near as good as some people think. Then we can have curiosity gap hooks, which create a gap of curiosity that they desperately want to fill. So after rating almost 500 loans in the past few years, here's what nobody tells you about pre-approvals. We can also have before and after transformation hooks, where you show a pain point and a dream outcome in a specific time limit. So you might say, here's how a 26-year-old couple went from having no deposit saved to owning a home in 90 days with these 3 changes. You're giving them the reason to stick around because you've shown them that a massive transformation is possible and they want to know how. So there's loads of different hook styles, and I'm 100% gonna make a video on this soon because it's one of the most important things in your short form content. But those are just some super rough examples to give you a quick idea of how they work. And look, I cannot stress this enough. If you don't nail your hook, nothing else matters. Because as I said, you could have the best structured video with the most valuable information in the world, but if people scroll past it in the first 2 seconds, the algorithm sees that and it kills your reach immediately. So spend time crafting your hooks, test different variations, and always ask yourself, if I saw this on my feed, would I stop scrolling? All right, so you've got their attention with a strong hook. Now we need to keep their attention with a proper video structure. And this is where retention comes into play. And there's a very specific formula that high-performing videos follow. And it's not complicated. You just need to know what it is and then apply it to everything you create. So part 1 is the hook, which we've already covered. Its main goal is just to get their attention in the first 2 to 5 seconds. Part 2 is the context and setup. This is where you quickly tell them why they should care and what you're about to teach them. So for example, after your hook, you might say something like, Now I've helped over 500 first home buyers navigate this process, and the ones who understand this strategy always end up in a better position than the ones who don't. So see how you're setting the stage for the video and building a tiny bit of credibility by saying you've done this 500 times, and giving them a reason to keep watching so they can find out what mysterious things putting certain first home buyers in a better position. Part 3 is the main explanation. Now this is the meat of the video. So this is where you actually teach the thing you promised in the hook. So if your hook was about saving $30,000 in government grants, this is where you break down which grants exist, who's eligible, and how to access them. This is also where you should give them actionable advice that they can go and use to benefit their own financial life in some way. So you just want to keep it simple, keep it clear, and don't overload them with information. You want to give them one clear takeaway that they can actually use. Now part 4 of your video structure is your example with numbers. This is where you make it concrete for them and really back up why what you said in part 3 is true and validate it with numbers, because of course numbers don't lie unless you're bad at math. So if you're making a video explaining negative gearing, it could be like, let's say you earn $100,000 a year and your investment property is negatively geared by $20,000. That means your taxable income drops from $100,000 to $80,000. So now instead of paying tax on $100,000, you're only paying tax on $80,000. So if your marginal tax rate is 30%, you're saving 30% of that $20,000 loss, which is about $6,000. Now you can see there how all I'm doing is helping the viewer visualize the numbers so they can get a better understanding of what I'm saying and get a bit more value from the video. And just quickly, depending on what type of video you're making, you might not always need the example with numbers section. If you're busting a myth or calling out some bad advice, you can skip straight to the final part. But for educational content where you're teaching a strategy, numbers are what really make it stick for the viewers. Now finally, part 5 is the aha moment. This is where you tie it all together and make them want to take action or save the video for later. And what I mean by that is bringing everything together from part 3 and 4, which is the main explanation and the example with numbers, and then explaining it to them in a way that makes a gear turn in their head. The point of this is for them to think, aha, so I need to take X action to get Y result. I've never heard it explained like that before. After a few times people seeing videos like this and getting all the actionable value, real quick, they start to follow your stuff pretty closely because they know you're a reliable source of information that's helping them improve their financial lives. So there's the 5-part structure: hook, context, main explanation, example with numbers, and aha moment. If you follow that formula, your videos are going to retain people way better than they currently are, and the algorithm is going to reward you for it. Now here's the thing, structure alone isn't enough. You also need to make sure your videos actually look good and sound good. Because if your content looks like rubbish filmed on a blurry camera with terrible crackling audio, people are going to scroll straight past it no matter how valuable the information is. So let me give you 2 quick things you can do today to massively improve the quality of your content. The first exercise I like doing is go back and look at your last 10 videos, watch them back, and find 3 things you could improve on. Maybe the lighting was a bit dark, maybe the audio was a bit echoey, maybe the hook could have been a bit stronger, maybe you rambled on in the middle. Whatever it is, write down those 3 things and then make sure in your next video fixes all 3 of them. It really is that simple. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to adjust and get slightly better with every single video you put out. Because after 3 months of doing this, you'll quickly start to see how fast your content's quality is improving. The second thing is to make sure you invest in some decent camera gear. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and spend 20 grand on a camera setup, but you do need to make sure your lighting is clean, your audio is clear, and your camera quality isn't making you look like you're filming a camera from 2008. And just a quick side note, the back camera on your iPhones are completely fine if you don't want to invest in expensive camera gear. Now, I covered this in my last video on all the different things you need to make a nice budget home studio, but essentially clean lighting, clear audio, and decent camera quality is all you need to make your content look high quality. So there we have it. Those are all the things you need to think about when you're planning out your content. Now, I want to be super clear with you here. This is not going to be an overnight process. You're probably not going to see traction for 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer. Because think about it. Look how easy it is for someone to scroll straight past your content. One swipe and they're gone. You've got 2 seconds to stop them. And if you don't, they're on to the next thing. Because as soon as they see someone they like or someone they recognize, they stop, lean in, and if that person's made something quality, they'll watch the whole video. So your job over the next 6 months is to get a couple of videos to break through, go viral, and get in front of thousands of new people. And once that happens, once people start recognizing your face, that's when things start to explode. So you need to be consistent. You need to post every second day, or at the very least 3 times a week for the next 6 months minimum. And I know that sounds like a lot, but if you want to build a real audience and actually grow your business through content, there's no shortcut. You need to show up, provide value, and trust that if you keep doing it, the algorithm will eventually reward you. And remember, the algorithm wants you to win, but you need to give it content that's worth pushing. So master your hooks so you can get attention in the first place, and then structure your videos properly so you can get that attention and maximize retention. And make sure your video quality is good enough so that people actually want to watch it. Do those 3 things for the next 6 months, and I promise you, you will see growth. Now, if you need help implementing this, or you just want someone to do it for you, there's a link in the description so you can book in a time to chat directly with me. And if you found this valuable and you want to see more content like this every week, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. I've got 2 other videos that pair perfectly with this one if you want to learn more about content marketing and how to build a marketing plan. The content one is called the 6 Laws of Content Marketing for Mortgage Brokers, and the planning one is called the $10 million 2026 Broker Blueprint. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.